One of the things I can tell you with absolute certainty is when I started my cleaning business back in 2006, I struggled with cleaning my own place. I figured it out for other people's homes, but I really couldn't keep it together in my own. And the only way to really create lasting change is to create habits. We hear this about diet, we hear this about other lifestyle changes. It all comes down to habits. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the habits that I have incorporated into my life that I have found to make me the most successful when it comes to keeping my home somewhat clean. A simple way to introduce minimalism into your home is to think about your surfaces as spaces that can be mostly clear. When I was growing up, my mom had this rule where we couldn't have more than 3 things on our surface if we wanted our room to be considered clean, and that is something that her mom passed down to her. Now, I thought that this was austere when it was first introduced to me, but I have to say, the more you are deliberate about what you put on any particular surface, the nicer your place will look. Because it doesn't necessarily mean, just because you have an empty surface, that you need to fill it up with things. That look might make sense for some people, but if you are trying to bring minimalism into your life, less and well curated is definitely more.
We got a comment on one of our decluttering videos. So just so you guys know, we do read as many comments as humanly possible. We get hundreds and hundreds a day, but one stuck out to us, so I wanted to address it here. And somebody said, Melissa, how can I take decluttering advice from you when you went from living in a small house to moving into a much larger home? And it's true, we did jump in square footage moving into this home. But what Chad and I have tried to do in this space, and I think we've done it quite well, is we've learned to embrace open, empty space. Now, I'm not saying that I want to live sparsely with nothing exciting or beautiful to look at, but in our old house, we just had a lot of stuff in there that wasn't serving us. And then once we managed to declutter and strip it down, and even to the day we moved, we were still doing that work. It didn't make a difference because that space wasn't right for what we were looking for in our lives. We wanted a bigger home where we could have friends and family over and have kids and make memories. Like, we just wanted the space. Plus we had the yard and we have the pool. It was something that really meant a lot to us. So that's why we moved into this house. We didn't move into this house because we wanted to fill it with more stuff. So in fact, no matter what space you're in, so long as it suits your needs and your lifestyle, there's a way that you can approach minimalism by simply living in a space that's not cluttered. So instead of the urgency to find a room and find things to fill it with, and I'm not saying not to decorate, but I'm just saying to be mindful about the way you decorate it. So don't clutter up a space with extra things that you don't necessarily need. Be very careful, particular, and mindful about how you set your spaces up so that you're not just filling them out. Because of course, anytime you see a large open space, our urge is to want to fill it with stuff, but that's when you can sort of teeter onto the side of being a little too cluttered and not living in that minimalist lifestyle. So it's a little bit of a mindset change.
Here's something that we can all universally agree on. I mean, there are so many polarizing things happening in the world these days, but I really believe that we all cannot stand the smell of garbage. If you disagree with me, you can go ahead and dislike this video, but I think we're all on the same page here. If you have a garbage can, which I'm assuming most people do, you probably notice that when you take out the garbage can still has a remnant odor to it. So a habit that I want you to get into, which is something that we've started doing here because now we have a classy garbage drawer in this house. So the garbage is much more up in the grill. We really have to take good care of it. What we're doing now is spraying our garbage after we empty it. So we're just spraying it down with something like full strength vinegar or a disinfectant. That is helping to get rid of any odors while we're throwing out, tying up the garbage, throwing it out. The product can do its work. When we come back, we give it a quick wipe, rebag it, throw the paper towel in the freshly bagged garbage and move on. And now we don't have a smelly garbage anymore. So if you notice that garbage smells are an issue for you, try doing that as a new habit. I haven't figured out cute acronyms for all of these habits, but I have for some. And this one's acronym is ABE, always be editing. And this speaks to the importance of decluttering, or kind of finding things that are just out of place or don't belong in your home anymore. A few great examples: if you're tidying a space, rather than just glossing over a pile of something, edit that pile. For example, we get magazine subscriptions and we have to constantly edit that so that it's not a big, increasingly large pile of magazines. The same thing can go for clothing or things that you have on your counter or that you stick on the little console table that you have at home when you're coming in. Editing is key. It helps to keep a space tidy, and it helps to keep the things out of your home that you no longer need. It might mean that something gets recycled, put in the garbage, donated, or sent off somewhere else where it can meet its highest and best use. That's probably no longer in your home. If you've watched any Clean My Space videos before, you probably know that I am someone who will be the first to tell you when I think you should spend good money on a really important thing. And I will also be the first person to tell you when you do not need to spend money and when you can make your own thing. And I actually firmly believe that cleaning is one of those spaces where we don't have to go out and buy a ton of stuff. In fact, that's a big mistake I see people make. They run out to the cleaning aisle and they're stocking themselves up with every single product. And the truth of the matter is, you know from watching Clean My Space videos, you don't need a lot to accomplish an amazing clean in your home. So I'm a big proponent of making what you can, where you can, saving money, space, and things that way, and upcycling where it makes sense. And that way you have more resource, more budget to actually go out and buy the stuff that you really do need.
Admittedly, I'm not the best at tidying up, although I have to say in my years since starting Clean My Space, I am much better than I used to be. One of the things that I know makes a huge difference for me, and I know has made such a big difference for many of you, is to tidy up nightly and to put things back in their home or in their place. Now this habit, when I do it, Chad and I kind of share duties, so sometimes I do it, sometimes he does it. When I do it, it helps me know and kind of take inventory of everything that I have. So I have a really good understanding of, do I have to add something to my shopping list? Is that a duplicate? Wait, where does this thing go? Oh gosh, I have to file that. Like, there are just inherent tasks that have to happen when I'm doing this tidy up. And that is so important because your house or your home is sort of like, it's this living, breathing thing, and the things that flow through it are like blood flowing through veins. It's moving, it's changing, it's dynamic, and we have to be attentive to that. So if we're not doing that, things get cluttered up and you can't live in this sort of minimal, clean space. The other thing about minimalism is when you're doing this tidying up, it makes you think about each and every item. And perhaps you'll notice, I don't need this anymore, or this piece of paper, this happened to me this weekend. I saw a pile of paper, I said, this has been here for too long, I'm dealing with it now. So when you're doing stuff like that, it really encourages you to be very critical of anything and everything in your space and deal with it, because one eyesore is really going to start to drive you crazy. And that's coming from me, a recovering slob.
I know it can be overwhelming to set aside a couple of hours to give your kitchen a good thorough clean. So if you find that overwhelming, instead, why don't you incorporate deep cleaning one area of your kitchen a week into your habit or your weekly routine? So if you pick something in your kitchen that you know can be a little bit overwhelming, but at least it's not aggregated with a whole bunch of other tasks that are heavy duty and time consuming, you'll actually find maintaining your kitchen on a regular basis much more straightforward. So I'm talking about things like cleaning your oven racks, your overhead exhaust, your fridge, your kitchen table. There are areas in your kitchen, little secret pockets that can get really greasy and really grimy. But if you set aside a few minutes, give that one area some good, thorough attention, you'll find that your kitchen will look clean on an ongoing basis. Because I find cleaning to be dreadful, the only way that I can make it somewhat manageable for myself is to give myself a set amount of time. That way it doesn't feel like it's this nebulous task that I'm going to have to do for however long it takes me to get done. Instead, I pair my cleaning with some sort of entertaining listen so that I know I have X amount of time to do the cleaning that I have allocated based on what I've chosen to listen to. So, for example, I will pick a podcast, say it's 20, 30, 40 minutes. I know I have that much time to do my laundry, clean the kitchen, whatever the case may be. When that podcast is over, I am no longer going to be cleaning, and at least my brain has been entertained while I am engaging in the thing I truly like doing the least. This is a trap I know I fall into, and I know lots of you guys fall into as well. And that is second guessing yourself. After you've looked at something, so you've gone through the decluttering process and you look at something and you're like, maybe I still need this. And then you just leave it on your counter, your table, your surface. And then the problem is, if you've already deliberated like that, the probability of you actually picking that thing up and using it again are slim. Like if you even questioned it the first time, you're probably not in need of that thing. A recent example for me was a hair product. I picked it up. Hair products for me are so guilt-ridden because you use them once, and if they suck, you never want to use them again. So here, I bought this hair product. It was sitting in my bathroom. I'm like, maybe I'll use it again, even though it turned my hair into a nest. So I had to look at it after second guessing it. I looked at it, I think it was about a week ago, and I was just like, I'm done with this. And I got rid of it. But had I just made that decision initially after testing the product and realizing that it didn't work for me, had I just gotten rid of it, I wouldn't have had to keep it on my counter for several months and waste that space. So when you get your thing, or if you have a thing and you realize I'm not feeling it, but I'm sort of feeling unsure, just don't second guess yourself. Put it in your Waystation. The Waystation is that pile that you have in your home where it's just kind of waiting to be donated or sold or taken out of your house. And don't think about it again. It's done.
Over the past couple of years, I've changed the way that I shop. I used to just go out and buy something if it was cute or if it was on sale or if I kind of just liked it. But I realized that that was the stuff that was clogging up my closet that I would barely wear. So over, the past few years when we've shot some of our closet clean out videos, some of our minimalism and decluttering videos, it's really changed the way that I go out shopping and the way that I think about buying new clothes. So I want to share with you two things that have really changed. So the first one is to visualize what that item is going to do for me when I actually get it. So for example, this sweater, I picked it up when Chad and I were in Texas. I bought it at Target, and I stood in Target and I looked at it and I'm like, that can go with jeans, that can go with black leggings. That's great as a layering piece. It's cozy, it's a little bit trendy, the price was right. So all of those things I really thought about, and then I started to remember that moment in Clueless where Cher had, that app looking thing where she could mix and match her outfits? I started to mentally do that and think oh, I could wear it like this. I could style it like that. And then I thought, you know what? This purchase actually makes sense. So I picked it up. But I can't tell you how many sweaters, actually Chad can attest to it. He was in the change room with me. There was a stack of sweaters that I did not take because I didn't have that same feeling. So thinking about the way that you're gonna wear the stuff once you actually get it. And then the next thing I would say is to do this kind of mental interrogation with yourself. So if you're struggling with something, you're picking it up, or let's even say you're online shopping and you see something and you're like, maybe I should get that. Yeah, it's inexpensive. I could use it, in A, B, or C circumstances. You might feel compelled to pick that thing up. You can start to interrogate yourself. When will I wear it? Where will I wear it to? Do I already have something like that? Is it worth the money? So you can start playing devil's advocate or interrogating your busy shopper in your head. And that really helps. So the next time you feel like you're struggling and you want to go shopping, you want to get some retail therapy, just take a step back, visualize the outfit in your home, in your closet, working with the stuff that you already have, and then ask yourself a bunch of questions and really be honest about the response. You'll see it makes a big difference, and you actually end up buying stuff that you really love.
The habit I want you to think about for this is to come up with your daily non-negotiable tasks. What are these? They're what make your blood boil on a daily basis. And this is going to be different for you than it is for me, than it is for your next door neighbor, because we all live different lives and different things piss different people off. So I'll give you a couple of examples. If you work from home and your kitchen table is your workspace, maybe your non-negotiable is that your kitchen table has to be cleaned at the end of each day. Couple of my non-negotiables, the kitchen floor. It gets a mess every single day. We've got a cat, we've got a daughter who's 4. It just gets messy. So we vacuum this floor every single day. It takes a couple of minutes, makes a difference. The same thing with unloading the dishwasher. It has to be done in the morning. It has to be run through at night. When it is not done, this area backs up like a busy highway and it becomes ridiculous. The kitchen instantly looks messy. So figure out what those areas or zones are in your home. They're generally high traffic spaces. In fact, I know for my husband, it's making the bed. I don't care about making the bed, but for him, an unmade bed makes the whole room feel messy and he doesn't feel like he can start his day right. So God bless, he can make the bed every day. Figure out what your non-negotiables are for you. Carve out a little bit of time. You will feel like you're in so much more control of your space and your home will feel just that much better. Whether it's for you or for someone else, think about spending your money in terms of buying experiences and collecting those rather than buying things, which can or cannot work out for you. You might buy something that sits there and collects dust or, outlives its useful life fairly quickly, whereas an experience is a memory that will last a lifetime and can open you up to new perspectives and can also challenge you to do new things. I'll give you a couple of examples. My mom was all into experiences for birthdays. So one year she took my sister and I for scuba diving lessons, which I'm not a daredevil by any sense. And I would think scuba diving would be very overwhelming, but it pushed me out of my comfort zone and I became a certified deep diver. So I will be forever grateful for that gift. And another one that she did for us, one year she took us on a hot air balloon ride. So we went all the way down and then we went all the way up. And that was so scary, but it was also an incredible experience. And had my mom just said, oh, I'm going to buy you that shirt that you wanted, that shirt would have come and gone. But that experience is in my head and my heart and will last me for a lifetime and really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And things that push me out of my comfort zone are priceless.
I have an experiment for those of you who want to stick your toe into the pool of minimalism but aren't quite sure how to get there. Here's what to do. All of the surfaces in your home, you're going to clear everything from those surfaces. You're going to find a home for wherever those items need to go temporarily. Now, the period of time you're going to try this experiment for is up to you. You can do a week, maybe 2 weeks, but the idea here is you're just going to experience what it feels like to live in a very sparse home, very clean, clear, decluttered space. Now, you might think, but I need this thing here. You'll find a drawer for it. Trust me, you'll manage. But the idea here is you come in and you realize, how do I feel about living with less? How do I feel about having less stuff on my surfaces? And then when your prescribed period of time is over, perhaps you only want to put half the things back on your surfaces. Perhaps you'll really think about what you're going to put on your surfaces. You'll be more deliberate about it. You see, the problem that we encounter so often as humans is we just get used to things. We don't really pay attention to things because we have to put so much on autopilot to focus on the things that we really do need to work on. So a lot of the clutter just becomes background noise, but it does build up over time. So shocking your system like this really helps you second guess everything that you have in your home. It's a great experiment to try.
Most people I speak to admit that they have too much clutter in their home, but it's hard to get rid of. And I get it. And that's why a long time ago, we created what's called a Waystation in our home, which is like a safe holding zone for the items that we think we're ready to get rid of, but we're not quite sure if we want to part with just yet. So a Waystation is a space where you can put those items, park them. If you need them, you can go get them, but every 3 months or 6 months, whatever interval you determine, you can then take those items that you're no longer using and send them off to their next highest and best use. And if you want a challenge, if you want to try this and see how it works, start with something small like a junk drawer. Dump everything that you have in that junk drawer into a box. Have that box replace your junk drawer for 3 months, let's say. Now, anytime you need something from your junk drawer, you can pull it out of that box and place it back in the actual drawer. But at the end of, say, that 3 months, anything that hasn't been used, you probably don't need it. So that can then go. And this teaches you the concept of a waste station and how it works. So I'd love to know in the comments down below, do you have a junk drawer? And does it need a little bit of a junk drawer overhaul? You might have heard of the one in, one out rule, which essentially means anytime you bring something into your home, you get rid of something, and that helps keep buildup and clutter at bay. But at Clean My Space, we've kind of re-engineered things because we know that sometimes people who struggle with decluttering might need an extra strategy to help them get started. So we have the one in, two out rule, which effectively allows you to bring one new thing in and helps you declutter twice as much each time. So rather than maintaining status quo, you actually are hacking away at the amount of stuff you have. So it's quite simple. You go shopping, you bring one thing into your home, and then you have to challenge yourself to go around the house and find two things that you get rid of. Give yourself space, forgive yourself. If your house isn't perfect, it's okay. Even my house, I think it's hilarious when people say, oh, Melissa, your house must be perfect because this is what you do. I always say, like, my house, if you were to step in on an average to really good day, would be like a 7 out of 10. We try our best, but we're busy. We have a daughter, we have a life, and I don't want to spend all my time cleaning. So I do as much as I can, and then I forgive myself for the rest. And it took me a while to get to that place, but I can tell you it's so much easier being here than it is trying to compare myself to some perfect standard that I'm never going to meet. I can tell you that as someone who started a professional cleaning business and had no previous cleaning experience, creating a system was imperative for me to become successful. Meaning for me to be great at the job and to do it in the least amount of time possible, where I could both satisfy the client and also be efficient with my time so that my business could make money. And then what I did with that system was I translated it into what we now call the 3-wave system, which I've talked about for years. And the 3-wave system had cut my cleaning time in half. Now, what we did, because we've been talking about this for years, is we decided to go deep on the 3-wave system. We've gotten so many questions about it. How do you do this exact thing? Or what should I do in this particular scenario? So we put a very comprehensive ebook together about the 3-wave system. And anyone who I've shared this with in depth it's changed them. It's changed the way that they clean. So if you're interested in learning about the 3-wave system in depth, you can check out this ebook. I've got a link for you down below, and we'll also put some other videos down below that talk about the 3-wave system so you can learn more. But the habit you need to get into when it comes to cleaning is to create a system, whatever that is, so that you can go on autopilot and get the job done well, repeatedly. I'd love to know in the comments down below which habit resonates the most with you, or what is your #1 cleaning habit that has really changed the game for you, whether or not it's one I talked about. Let me know in the comments. Our comment section is so often a space where people share and encourage one another, so please give it heart and let us know. If decluttering is on your mind, you can check out our 10 Things to Toss series. It'll really give you a good starting off point if decluttering has been on your mind and you're just not sure how to begin. You can also support the Clean My Space channel by, of course, subscribing to it and by visiting our store, makersclean.com, where all of our premium microfiber cleaning products are available. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.